Hi.
What's up? Did you do a just a cold open because you hit live? We live?
I hit the thingy and the intro video didn't play. It was on there.
Well, boom. We just thought we just run up on y'all just like that. It's all good.
Oh well. Remix, remix. What it do, niggas?
What up? Wait, we missed the intro. The intro was missing
It
today.
didn't play.
Oh no,
I
That's
don't know what
crazy.
that's crazy.
happened.
That's crazy.
Maybe you was just trying to. I don't know.
Let me find it. Hold on. I'm finding it.
Remix, 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 remix.
There we go. Got it right. Okay. Morning, morning. I said our outro video, so we're good to go. Peace to the infamous chat. Sup, AJ, Geechee Goddess, Cynthia Rose, everyone else as they join. How we doing today?
Cooling, chilling. Seems like it's been a long time. Did we do a show last week?
We did, but Amber was missing, so
Oh, that's why
that's
it feels
why.
like we. Yeah,
Yeah,
this feel like.
We did. Yeah, the show happened. I just wasn't there.
yeah, that's why it feels like
Yeah,
it didn't happen at all. You
yeah,
know.
that's why.
But it did happen. You guys had great commentary. I was listening.
We saw you were in the chat. It was a good time. Um. Oh.
Oh,
I know. Um. And we can continue to check in about Black August. I know it's coming to a close. Y'all have any remaining events, things you're trying to get done, um, PPs you're still talking to that you wanted to highlight?
no, we wrapped up my class and stuff.
Oh yeah, well, what'd y'all wrap up on?
We just did like a debrief of what people thought from the class, any questions they had, um, how they felt about like abolition and other things, like other topics we talked about. At the end of it, um, talked about like what we're gonna do next year. Like I talked about how we're gonna have a class next year, but I'm gonna do some more. Like we're gonna move further into the topics we talked about versus like doing more intro stuff.
Hmm.
Shout out to Omega from the chat. She's been coming to the class.
Shout out. So Meg always has great commentary as well.
They do have good commentary. Yeah, it was cool.
Geechee, how about you?
I ain't did much of Black August related the whole August. So,
I
how
see,
about
I
you?
see, I see. Um, well, we do have some closing activities. We're bringing in new members today to Black Men Build, so that's usually a ceremony and a time to recommit for those of us who are already a part of it, and then a way to bring people in more deeply for those who aren't. So I'm excited about that. Saw the book club, which I have not been able to participate in, but apparently it's been going well. So I'm gonna be there for the last chapter. I caught up, but I haven't attended any of the sessions. So we have our Asada reading group that's gonna close out on Saturday, and then at Virginia Key Beach, we have this poetry potluck, which is like a cultural event run by my comrade down here in Miami. And it's usually a really good time. So packed weekend, which is why me not sleeping the best isn't good. But it's all right. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. I'll get some sleep somewhere, you know.
Take some melatonin.
Oh my gosh. So they tell me. They tell me how to chemically alter my brain.
It won't give me out to your brain. I've definitely taken melatonin and I'm not addicted to it. I don't take it consistently.
It is technically chemically altering your brain. I'm joking. I'm fine. I just don't usually need it. It's just rare. Sometimes I have bad sleep, you know. But I hear magnesium works pretty
Bad
well
sleep
too.
messes up your whole life.
It's true. Have y'all ever heard of the magnesium? I know people take the tablet.
Magnesium does work,
Yeah, I've
but
rubbed the
magnesium
oil.
magnesium knocks you out, I think, deeper than the melatonin would.
I've taken oil and
Well,
rubbed it on the feet. I've
well,
done some.
magnesium makes you stay to sleep once you go to sleep, but if you don't get to sleep, it's not gonna work. So you're
Mm,
gonna need a few things like ashwagandha, passion flower, valerian root, a mix of those things. The
Hmm.
three of them kind of bring you back.
Valerian. That's that Game of Thrones, no?
Valerian
Valerian
root
root.
is a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, they'll get you to sleep. Ashwagandha too. All the stuff that relax your mind.
Um,
I started
I
drinking like
see.
there's this lemon balm and ashwagandha tea. As you know, I'll be drinking Geechee. I started drinking that with another ashwagandha tea packet too. Fire.
Yeah.
I hear some people have bad reactions. Well, I know my comrade and my little sister both took ashwagandha and we're having some pretty bad reactions to it. But I know that's like you have to be careful under certain conditions. You have
Well,
to
I'm glad
check.
I didn't have a bad reaction because I'm fucking it up.
Yeah, I think it depends. I
Like
think
for
she
me.
might have had an allergic reaction, and then because he was fasting, I think wasn't
Mm.
aware of the effects that it has when you do it while fasting, and I think it was fucking him up a little too. So just you gotta know. A lot of people are cool with the magnesium suggestion. Lavender oil was good for me. That's definitely a good, like, gonna relax me, knock me out. But I think you have to have a nightly routine. Is the other thing I'm trying to make sure me and my fiance stretch and do the same
Mm.
thing every night. But I don't know if y'all have a nightly routine or
I do have a nightly routine.
you wake up at the same time, but do you go to bed at the same time every? Yeah,
Mm.
okay. Amber's master. That's that discipline. Amber's mastered it.
I mean, have I mastered the discipline or do I just fall asleep and I can't stay up?
Well, if you have the same time every night that you go to sleep, I think that's like that's when people talk about sleep hygiene. I think you have really good sleep
I've
hygiene.
never heard of the term sleep hygiene. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, sounds like you have some solid ones. I wake up roughly the same time, but I do not go to sleep at the same time every night. So got to work on that. Also saw folks in the chat. Peace, y'all, checking in, talking about our Black August. Chidi says, failed at my Black August task. I was to be searching a panther who was gunned down in my neighborhood as a kid. It's been much more challenging to find info than I thought. It's become a September task. Well, Black August 365. So, you could definitely carry that with you. But that's also a story. There's a street in downtown Miami named after an officer. And I'm like, whose names are these all over these Miami streets? Turns out that officer was gunned down by a panther, which is interesting history. Yeah, exactly. So I also have been trying to find some research into that. There's only a few police reports and things. So
That's
Chidimaka is definitely a more challenging task than something you could just, immediately solve a lot of. Um, did MLGW get it together? I don't know who that is. Y'all know who that is?
They're
That's your
talking about
question.
methods like gas and water because we've been without
Ah,
power. We're on have a power outage happening right now. We were without power since Saturday night. So this is like day 6. There's still like around 5,000 people without power.
oh wow. Okay. And were you without power at any point?
Yeah, I didn't have power for 5 days. I just got it back yesterday.
Damn. How are y'all responding to that?
Um, Lots of relief stuff. I've been delivering generators to people. Been doing like food distributions every day, stuff like that.
Damn. Um, is there anybody being held accountable for it at the moment, or is it more just people trying to respond?
I mean, it was from a storm, so Who we gonna hold account? I mean,
I saw the company name because I don't know. Is it like in Gary where they're still charging y'all crazy? Because that's what I was seeing in Gary was people were still getting charged
I
for
haven't
bills.
seen my MLGW bill. Like they haven't put the bills out yet, but I said they definitely better have the shit taken off of there when my power is out. But I mean, we have been like getting on MLGW about the infrastructure issues. It's not more so. It's not like really about the power going out. It's more so about the infrastructure not being improved. So the power stops going out, and we've been like talking about that for a while, and they just haven't done it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
And A Rob says in Gary the data center still had power, which is wild.
Yeah, the data centers still have power here too.
Uh, Capitalists
Never
secure
lost
their
power.
interest. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, good to know.
They're on a separate part of the grid.
No, they're in the same grid.
Well, I mean, I thought they had like heard something about like they get a certain allotted amount and somehow separated, but I'm not sure.
No, they're not. They're on the same
Or
grid.
or do they get preference? Well, anyway, the point of why they are still on and they're not having interruptions versus the public is what I was trying to fish for.
They have two substations at the Colossus One data center. It's on the grid, and the other one it's like partially on the power grid. So they definitely on the power grid. I don't know why they didn't lose power when everybody else did, but yeah.
And the backup.
Yeah, Aaliyah said, and backup generators. They do have backup generators.
I suspect we have similar problems in Miami next hurricane, but we will see. Hopefully, it's not going to be too bad. Hopefully, we don't get hit by a hurricane. But
Oh, not.
tends not to happen when you're located by the tropics. So we will see. We haven't had a bad one in Florida, I think, for a few years now. It's been a little bit since anything's like really rocked the state, but you never know. So, I'm trying to find. There's just one discussion. I don't know if it's necessarily a story, but I thought we could maybe talk about it because it's kind of slipped through the run sheet for like the past few weeks.
Okay.
Was
You have a check-in question?
Well, mine was about like Black August, unless you have another one you want to go through.
Yeah, I have like a little feedback between the two of y'all.
Oh, it's clear on my side. Amber, how about you?
It was clear.
I have this article if y'all are
It
interested.
was clear for me too. Yeah, we're interested.
All right.
I missed you guys last week though. I'm sorry, I have a job.
Sorry, I have a job. No need to apologize. Oh, I saw you. Actually, this is a fun to check it. I saw. I'll find it. I'll find the video. My partner's been in love with this trend, so I saw you do it, and it was great. So maybe we could talk about that something light for a second, and then we could get into this conversation. Hold on. So what's the context behind this, by the way? Hold on, I'm gonna share it.
What trend?
Oh, you'll see.
My bumper clock, my rod to talk. Got them going crazy for that poo, nah. I get what I want, I got that ooh shalaka. He do what I say for that da. Outfit came from Shein, person here's it too. Just got my hair done, I make them brand new. He wanna lick my bumper clock, my rod to talk. Got him going crazy for that poo, nah. I get what I want.
Oh, my fiance loves this trend. Oh my gosh, she wants me to do it so bad. Oh,
You
great.
do it, Lauren.
No. So here's the thing. I'd be down. I have to convince other people to also do
Yeah.
it. That's the biggest problem with the
It
trend.
actually was not that hard. I was talking to the Jam Pod niggas and I was like, let's do this TikTok. And they said, okay, what's the words?
See,
And I
that
just
was
showed them the words and then it was fine.
I was about to say. So you found the Jam podcast niggas. What's up? That was
Wait,
They
nice.
were
slow down.
doing
So
this.
so that's what I was about to ask. So that's who they are. They're like I know one of them look familiar, but
Yeah, the brother with the locks looks really familiar. I didn't know if they were all
JJ?
Jam. Yeah, the one who says outfit came from Gene. That
Yeah,
one.
that's JJ. Him and AB are brothers. And
Ah,
the second person, Matthew, is their cousin. And then Alan right here is their like lifelong, they've been like best friends since like they were little. But yeah, they have a podcast. It's called the Jam Pod. And
mhm.
they're really cool. Yeah, Ashley Knuckles said, ain't they from Chicago? They are from Chicago. They've been in Memphis doing some, they were helping us with the relief stuff. I don't know if you saw the other thing I posted, Lori, but they came to deliver generators for me. So they stopped
Yes,
by.
I saw the other. We started talking about that. Of course, I saw the other
Yeah,
thing. I
they
was
came
just
to
serious.
help with that, but they were in town for this 1,000 miles to Memphis, like voter restoration, like redistricting type of event where they were like different creators and like organizations were marching 1,000 miles to Memphis to like highlight the redistricting stuff that happened here and like the importance of voter registration and like voter engagement and stuff. And they were on like the last leg. And so I connected with them and they came by to like talk about what was happening with the power outage and how they could support and they went and deliver some generators and water for me. And then the next day I know they were gonna be at this event and they were asking if I was coming. And I was like, yeah, I'll slide by. And then we were hanging out talking afterwards, and then we just filmed that TikTok. They cool
Mhm.
people. I mean, they're like in my age group, so it was fun to just talk to people that like understand the stuff I be talking about because the other folks who were there for the 1,000 miles to Memphis thing are like older, so
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
don't know the stuff I be talking about. But my friend Keyshawn, he also took them to the data centers earlier today. We took them by like some soul food spots and like kind of showed them like some of the Memphis history stuff, which they were really into. And then we filmed like they're gonna put out some different videos about the data center stuff. They're gonna put out some videos about the power outage and like the impact of that. So it'd be really cool.
And for those who aren't familiar with Jam Pod, yeah, out of Chicago, some young brothers do some commentary that I enjoy from time to time to try and give some analysis. I believe they've referenced Jared's work before every now and then. Just talking about different topics. So, as Amber was just mentioning, they have, of course, registered to vote and help your people. So they mix in their podcast content with like calls to civic participation and action and things like that. So I think right here they're probably talking about that Jonathan Majors movie. Did we cover that at all on the platform on our show?
I feel like we did.
Um,
I don't
I
know.
don't know if we did. We could play that trailer. It was pretty wild. If y'all want to focus on that, because that's what that
They
reminded me of.
said, I dig the young cats. They are
Yeah.
22, and I forget they're like that young. But yeah, they are young.
Okay. Yeah, they cover a lot of good topics. They usually have pretty solid takes, so they're a nice uh, alternative in the podcast space because
I,
Yeah.
I
it's
think I
a voice
remember
that
them going viral with whenever I saw them with Conscious Lee on. It was talking about something, but it was supposed to be a clip with them and Conscious Lee talking about a politician contradicting himself, something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that kind of work too. And again, just like them, I know there's the Culture United. There are a lot of podcasts out here that people have some common sense and are
Mhm.
trying to really get through with some solid analysis, even if it's not as revolutionary as we would want. They're on a
It
trajectory
is.
that
I
I would think
mean,
is
it is
good.
developing. I think.
Yeah, exactly. We should link up and do a show of solidarity. I mean, Amber's the one doing the TikTok trends with them. So if they want to come on the show, welcome on the Friday remix. The
It's
podcast is
called
Jam
Jam Pod.
Jam Pod.
JAAM Pod.
And they did cover, and I like the take, of course. That's what I'm saying. Their takes on some of the things happening in this country are helpful, especially when there's a lot of right wing content coming out. So this is a movie, Run, Hide, Fight, Infidels, official trailer 2026. You see Jonathan Majors on the front with an assault rifle. Some context: a lot of folks know about this movie. If you haven't, Ben Shapiro produced it. Ben Shapiro is a famous Zionist, right wing, conservative, like YouTuber. He owns, I believe, something called the Daily Wire. So to me, he's in that generation post Fox News. You know how there always used to be the racist Fox News talking heads like Bill O'Reilly. There came a generation after them. When we switched to the YouTube era, I would say Candace Owens comes out of that generation, but Ben Shapiro was one of those. Like, you have to listen to both sides, and then people would point you to Ben Shapiro as the person who represents the right and sounds like knows what he's talking about. But he's also known for saying that his wife's pussy doesn't get wet. When Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion dropped WAP, he said, "WAP, that sounds like a medical condition. Wet ass P word." So that's if you know Ben Shapiro.
I
That's the
remember
guy.
that. That was so long ago. I do remember it though, and it was weird as fuck.
So that's the guy
China.
making this movie. Just want people to know when they see it. All right, here we go.
Your country is beneath contempt. We who love and serve Allah fought back against the Americans and the Zionists from the scourge of secularism and the lands of unbelief.
Anyone gonna listen to Captain Saunders tomorrow? The retired Delta Force soldier with a new book out.
He's the polar opposite of those brain-dead protesters.
Given the current climate, should Clay Saunders even be allowed on campus?
Mr. Saunders is a close personal friend of Chancellor Friedman. This is a decision I cannot flank.
There are three ways Islam will conquer the West.
Oh, Lord.
Through immigration, through the wombs of our women,
Oh, Lord.
and by using our nation's freedoms against us.
Inshallah. Hopefully.
Are you paying attention?
Listen carefully. The great Satan, America, will fall.
Oh, shit.
For infidels. The bodies of women are not pure and the men's souls are unclean.
What makes them so dangerous? Their goals are not in this life, but the next.
I got friends here. I can't just leave. Listen to me. Illallah.
Oh, God.
Run or hide from what is coming. We have to fight.
I will be rewarded 10,000 times in the next life. When you die, you're nothing. Only one way to find out.
That's the American way.
Oh my God, what the fuck? I actually hadn't seen the full trailer. That was my first time. Wow. That was worse.
Don't show us no more shit. Like, don't you pull up another motherfucking trailer. You're banned.
That was terrible. What? Oh man, Jonathan Majors is so corny. This sounds like a nigga who calls a white woman Coretta. That is.
It's the American way.
This is the nigga who said his white rich girlfriend was Coretta Scott King. Yo. Okay. Whew. You don't have to take every role. I mean, again, he lost his Marvel bag. So,
I mean, that's why he taking roles from indie films because he ain't got no money.
Our Women was crazy, right? He had an all-white campus. He does think it's Our Women. Oh man. You know, I like
pull up Ashley Knuckles coming again.
Yeah, hold on.
Let's connect.
Yeah, we can talk about El Sayed and I Love America nonsense he's been pulling. That's just been making me gag. But with this, I mean, again, I'll leave it to the Jam podcast to get into the deeper breakdowns. I think it's pretty wild how their horror show on an American college campus is all stuff that white people be white people in and doing themselves. That's
Mm-hmm.
the meme. Like when white shit happens, when American shit happens in America, and they're like, "What are we? A bunch of Asians? What is this? North Korea? What is this? China? Like this is you? Campus shootings? That ain't Arab people. That's not Muslims aren't doing mass shootings on college campuses. Well, they had the Arab men had all the white boys naked. You saw that they were all sitting down naked with like a hostage or whatever. I'm like, that's y'all. That's a frat hazing event. Like y'all are all naked. So we got stuff that y'all already do in y'all's fraternities. Talking about women again. Talking about assaulting women. That is white frat culture. So everything about this is white boy culture. Shooting up this campus, assaulting women, having a bunch
Then they
of
got the damn black security guard dude.
Of course, they always do that. They always got to throw one of us in there to be like, see, they're part of it too. It sounds like Jonathan Majors is putting on a weird accent. Is that just me, or did that sound? He sounded off. Okay, all right. He sounded weird. My goodness. Yeah, that was.
I mean, I think it would have. Well, one, I don't even understand how people, or what got them into Jonathan Majors other than him saying goofy stuff, because I don't remember him being like how he got introduced. But he's a mascot like any other celebrity. And then, as you said, it would have been better if maybe it was at the World Trade Center or Pentagon, or because as you said, like they have the same type of civilian attacks that the U.S. have on their country. When there are retaliations, it seems to be clearly political in terms of destroying economic buildings that are responsible for mass suffering, or Pentagon, where war porn advocates go study how to murder children. So they definitely are very intentional with their retaliations against this weak ass country and its weak ass actors.
Yeah. I was gonna add. I think the bigger analysis that I would take away from this is that this is just like, so Ben Shapiro, as I said, is a conservative. So a lot of times our people can recognize like Coonan when it comes from conservatives and less when it's from liberals. So I think obviously it's just more on the nose, pro-America, our women, all of that stuff that makes this action movie kind of stand out as extra Cooney. But I think that most action movies, honestly, that our brothers star and sisters are like that, right? So this is just, I think, a little more, over the top. But I think about like Michael B. Jordan starting Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, right? A lot of these stars, I think, as much as everyone loves him, Yahya was just in Man on Fire remake, where he's like a CIA or ex-CIA or something like that. So I think the general action movie trend is very pro-imperialist, right-wing kind of stuff. I watched Viola Davis movie where she's pretending to be president or whatever, and there's a whole so I think there's the liberal kind of Obama type of action movie politic that you can have. That's just generally like, I work for the CIA, but they don't do as much pro-America stuff. And then there's like, what Jonathan Majors did here. But I don't think it's too far removed from a lot of action movies that we normally see. Oh. Someone already pointed out what brought his rise to fame, and that's what's interesting. Again, when people like jump between, so even Trump to some degree, as a point out, was like a Democrat, and then he felt scorned and found power in the Republican Party. So a lot of people start off in the liberal camp, see, hey, I could probably make more of a name for myself in the conservative kind of circuit, and they end up there. So someone pointed out that it was a Lovecraft Country that made him popular. And that is what a lot of people like. A lot of people like Lovecraft Country, which was this kind of
romanticization of Black Wall Street.
Yeah, that as well. I wouldn't say it was a romanticization. Somewhat, yeah, to some degree you could say that. I would say that it was like a fictionalization. But they did have the city getting burned down and a lot of like
I
terror.
felt like he created a new storyline that was
Yeah.
kind of like
They did.
Yeah.
like expounded on it in a way, and like included like the magic shit.
Yeah. But it was still very liberal. So, like everything I was just talking about, there's a really weird story, love story with him and a Korean woman when he's an imperialist. Like he's there in Korea to do horrible things, and like his superior officers, the white officers, have set up like a sex tourism and torture camp for the Korean women. And he's kind of portrayed as sympathetic when he was like the guard for the camp. So there's a lot going on. I think it's his father who he has this tough relationship with, murders a two-spirit indigenous person in an episode. So I would say there's a lot of liberal imperialist problems in that show. But in terms of people's sensibilities, they're more likely to like it. There's a really cool episode where his mom gets to do like an Afrofuturist, like time and dimension travel, where she gets to go back to Africa and train as a warrior, and she gets to like live multitudes of lives and stuff. And I think that's probably the coolest episode of the show. And so to see him in something like that, at first, I think he was again more on the liberal side of things. Wumi Musaku, who's from Sinners, that's Smoke's wife in Sinners. She's got her breakout role in Lovecraft too. So it's just interesting to see. She's gonna probably stay more on the liberal kind of side of things. They also just tend to treat black women slightly better. Whereas Jonathan Majors is this like black hulking kind of action figure, can definitely jump into the male podcasting right wing sort of ecosystem. So someone said he's in the Five Bloods, which also sucked. Yeah, definitely. That's interesting. Now I won't show any more trailers like that. I can't promise. It'll come up again. I'm sorry, but for now, we're good. All right, that got me distracted from the original story. So this was this conversation. I've seen this post shared around a bit from some comrades. I thought it was interesting. This is from Zadeh, I believe. A lot of people write really cool articles on Substack. So I saw this one. Your critique of structure is a trauma response. And it's why we see so many slogans and very little discipline or organization. So curious what y'all think about this, if you've seen it at all yet, but I'm down to read through it. A lot of you foam at the mouth anytime anyone proposes a governance structure, a decision-making process, a clear chain of accountability, even if it's for alternative systems of care led by common folk. The moment those words enter the room, people literally get irritated and tune out. Suddenly the conversation is about power dynamics, about who controls whom, about the dangers of hierarchy, and about how structure is what the oppressor uses. A lot of people who say they have a critique of structure have also had an experience of structure, usually a bad one. A household where love was conditional on compliance, a school that suspended you for the same thing and looked past when someone else did it, a job that had rules for everyone and exceptions for the people who looked like the person in charge, a church that preached community and practiced control and favoritism, a government that told you what your family could and couldn't do based on how much money you had, capitalism itself, which is the most elaborate structure most of us have ever lived inside, and which has used that structure almost entirely against us. And so the brain does what brains do. It generalizes. If structure hurt me there, structure will hurt me here. If rules were used against me before, rules will be used against me again. The response makes sense given what it caused. The brain learns something from a specific kind of harm, and it is applying that lesson. Any of y'all want to take over?
I got it. Go ahead. The problem, well, the adaptation does not distinguish between the structure that harm you and the structure that could protect you. It just recognizes the shape of the thing and responds. And when the response gets called a critique of hierarchy or an analysis of power, it becomes very hard to challenge, because now you are not dealing with a wound, you are dealing with an ideology, and ideologies are much harder to examine. Fannie Lou Hamer did not run Freedom Farm on vibes. She ran it with 680 acres, a defined membership structure, a pig bank with specific distribution rules, a board, a budget, and a set of programs with actual operational requirements. The thing that made Freedom Farm feed hundreds of families was not the passion of the people involved, though that passion ran deep. It was the structure. It was the decision about how resources would move, who had authority to release them, and what happened when something went wrong. The Black Panther Party had a 10-point program. They had chapters with defined leadership. They had chains of command that determined who could make which decisions. They had written rules of how the survival programs would operate, who was eligible, what the process was. The free breakfast program fed 20,000 children a day across 45 cities because someone figured out the logistics, assigned the responsibilities, and built a structure that could run even when any individual person was not unavailable.
You want to pause because we're about halfway.
Yeah,
I'm seeing faces. All right, faces.
I think you can make the point without like saucing things up a little bit, like because I feel like it's kind of like blanket statements. But go ahead, keep going.
No, I agree as well. Kia Rudolph. Okay, I read 2 slides and I wanted to democratize the reading so you don't only hear my voice. Thank you very much. Okay, I did not only read one paragraph and pass it off. That's not fair. All right. Amber, you made a face. Y'all making faces. What are the thoughts? We talk to the people. How we feeling? I heard you, Geechee. Definitely, I hear that. You feel like there's some kind of generalization happening out that's like maybe related to, but not directly the point of the article.
Yeah. So one of the things is like there's many organizations who claim to be an extension of the Black Panther Party, even though they're not a party and they don't do party organizing. And I think in the conversation around structure, to highlight the Black Panthers' intended structure in particular chapters and not acknowledge that when the structure became unclear to the people coming in, and there starts to be deviations from the structure, even from leadership, and leadership became damn near a tyrant, and things fell apart. I think that part of I guess a cautionary tale that somebody should include in some type of a response. But yeah, I think the title was provocative, and I'm pretty sure people can experience. Like I've had some of the initial experience that they talk about. I remember having a PE, and most PEs always talk about structure and be able to make whatever reading applicable to our situation in the context that our organization was in. And the leader of the organization sent some technically a spy to a public PE, and it led to an expulsion and some other things of just trying to talk about structure. So yeah, I can understand that, but I feel like there could have been a lot more stronger, and maybe the article goes.
Yeah, we're gonna continue. There's more. I hear that. I also think, as May's point, if there's a strong structure, there needs to be a strong democratic practices. I think that ends up being the thing, because I've talked about democratic centralism or leadership, and I really agree with George Jackson on the Vanguard. Like there are people who have the skills and the experience and struggle that kind of put them in a position to direct activity, and that's a service position. You're a servant. But I don't think you, like you said, are a tyrant in that situation. You're just coordinating activity. So I do appreciate the Fannie Lou Hamer example as well. But yeah, people aren't going, when people feel distrustful of leadership, I feel like oftentimes it's because they feel like it's unjust leadership or unjust hierarchy, which the article was talking about in the beginning. So why are you the leader? What have you done to demonstrate that you have the skill set to run this operation, that people can trust you, that you're reliable and consistent, that you're disciplined, that you're actually listening to people and fair, that you understand different roles identities play. And so if somebody comes to you and raises something, you're not denying their experience and saying that's not real, just fall in line. So I think all of those things are a big part of it too. Amber, did you have thoughts before we get to that second half of the article?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the idea of structure, but I don't think it's a trauma response. And I feel like some of the stuff that they're trying to use as a comparison right now is like pulling at straws and not necessarily like equitable arguments. We can keep it.
Yeah, I think case studies are more helpful than trying to project onto Fannie's Freedom Farms and the Black Panther Party's situation. I think about, because I've been saying this story a lot, and I'm rereading Asada. She talks about when she went into the Panther office in New York, how their administrative work was just really disorganized. And how as somebody like off the street, she was able to walk in and start like fixing people's files and stuff, which is like a big violation of security culture. Again, when we talk about like what structure is needed for people to trust it. At the same time, she was helping them improve their security culture. So I always love that story of her coming in and offering labor to make the organization better. I think that's how everyone should be approaching it. I also love the funny story that Jamal Joseph told, which was that he was somebody who was in charge of building discipline in that New York chapter. And Asada tells that story about how raggedy they were. He tells some stories at Asada Celebration of Life about how raggedy she was at first until she grew and transformed. And he said that she lost all the Panther newspapers that she was supposed to sell when she went out. She overslept and missed the free breakfast program that she was supposed to run. And she was also falling asleep in PE. And so I think all of those things are funny until he said, okay, you're on probation. All right, this is your last chance. And she's like, no, I really want to do this. I'm really committed, blah, blah, blah. So he said, you're in charge of the free breakfast program. You have to wake up first thing in the morning and you're running it. It's on you. And apparently that push was what Asada needed to transform, because once she started doing that, she really locked in on the work. So I think that's an example of structure on both sides, like somebody from the bottom up creating structure, and then top down, someone in authority actually enforcing discipline in a way that makes somebody develop.
So, so to Amber's point too, I think I didn't really catch who's being diagnosed with the trauma response. Is it the person who's wielding and abusing power, or is it like the common folks? Because I don't think common folks necessarily struggle with structure. And then that Joe Freeman tyranny of structurelessness, it's important to say that, like, one, structure is an ever evolving thing. Your objectives should reflect your structure should reflect your objectives. Like you should be structured in a way to achieve your objective. If your structure disables you from achieving your objective, you have to change your structure. So it's an ever evolving thing. But even when people are not clear on the structure, there's a structure. So there's always a structure. It's just ineffective structures or effective structures.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. I'll read since I passed it off. Ella Baker spent 50 years building organizations. She had deeply considered views about leadership, about how power should be distributed, about what made a structure accountable to the people it served. Her critique of singular charismatic leadership was a critique of the wrong kind of structure. What Geechee just said. She was arguing for more governance, more distributed decision-making, more formalized accountability, not less. So when someone says that structure is inherently a tool of oppression, the question is, which structure? The structure Fannie Lou Hamer built was not the same structure as the plantation system she was fighting. The Panthers' organizational structure was not the same as the COINTELPRO operation that targeted them. Structure is a form. What matters is who it serves, who holds it, and who protects it. Collapsing all structure into oppressive structure is not a political analysis. It is a feeling that has been given the language of analysis, and it is doing serious damage to the communities that need structure most, because those communities are the ones that cannot afford for their systems of care to collapse every time a key person burns out or a conflict goes unresolved. Okay, feeling that. Some of us learned the aesthetic of our ancestors and missed the discipline. We learned the names, the images, the slogans, the legacy. We did not learn the organizational practice. We did not learn the meetings, the budgets, the written agreements, the accountability processes, the long, unglamorous work of making a structure actually function. That part does not make for good content. It does not feel like liberation, especially if what liberation feels like to you is freedom from the structures that harmed you. I think we got a few more slides. And I think that is exactly why so many organized efforts that emerged in 2016 and again in 2020, some of them with enormous resources and real public momentum, collapsed and in some cases caused serious harm. They had the energy, they had the language, they had the following. What they did not have was a process, a governance structure, a written agreement about how decisions would get made, how money would move, how conflict would be handled, what accountability would look like inside the organization before it was demanded anyone outside of it. Pause here for the last stretch. I have some thoughts on this one. Not that I disagree with it. I think it's just a partial analysis. So all of those things make sense, but the thing that, from my understanding, determines structure or shape structure is ideology as well. And so if these movements didn't have an ideology or aren't clear on what their ideology demands, then that's going to transform the structure. And I think we see a lot of this with this DSA discussion. Socialism, scientific socialism, Marxism are methods and ideologies. But we have people who are not adherents to that ideology gaining power in the organization. And so I do think there's some that have structures, but then they violate their own structural rules when they don't adhere to their ideology. So if you cannot be a socialist in the DSA and not be accountable to DSA rules, line, anything like that, I do think it's a structural problem. But I also think it's a problem of ideological difference. Everything she listed, there was an ideological core to it, even in the freedom movement or in the Black Panther Party, where they had explicit political education. But I don't know if we could say everything in 2016 and 2020 had ideology, had explicit political education programs, anything like that, you know?
So I think stating that ideology is important is just like a duh moment, right? Now, struggling and having clarity around ideology is a task that I don't really think most organizations have the capacity to actually do. So, for instance, like you could start an organization if you have the money or the right, as you said, cult to personality, and that organization could have never, ever materially lived up to its ideology. And you could say, like, we build off of ideology, right? So, if most Black orgs or orgs on the left wouldn't have the type of money to throw at people and give flashy things in order to organize people and win people over, like, you would have to show them that what you're talking about works. And if you can't even govern your own self in a responsible way and achieve concrete objective outcomes, then you wouldn't even have you wouldn't have anything to show for, if anything. So it's like, if you're trying to talk about revolution, you would have to govern, you would have to be organized, you would have to have these things. And yeah, I just think, I don't know, it's almost like an infant conversation in terms of around structure, because give an example of PSL would have, I would assume, a more defined structure than a lot of the organizations on the left that we call that are still trying to formalize. Like they're still. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious when you say the PSL as a structure and the members in PSL who you said might not be socialist versus.
Oh, I said DSA and PSL. You're supposed to have, like, you've been interviewed and vetted, so you kind of have to be socialist to be in PSL.
My bad. I probably was mixing the two. So when you said I thought you said PSL.
No. But I think, to be fair, they're one of the more prominent groups, right, in terms of left activity. And so I think part of that might be the strength of some of their structure, might be the strength of how they do interviews and things like that, and also that they have capital. I think that's always important to discuss in these situations. I think there's discussions of the left, which is important, but then I see this as like a broader critique of like mutual aid organizations and nonprofits and other formations, not so much of just left formations, because it sounds like, and I think maybe this person gets into it, they run some sort of program. This is what that came off to me as, is like they ran a community program and there wasn't enough discipline and a lot of liberalism in the space that was maybe being masked as a critique of structure. That's how I see it. So for me, let's say you want to run a food distribution program or something like that. That still is going to be determined by ideology, I would say, like straight up. But it doesn't necessarily rise to the level of like a mass org or a cadre formation or anything like that. It is just a service-based program. At the same time, you still need these like forms of discipline and stuff. So I was thinking about a lot of the nonprofits that I've encountered over the years that do sometimes do really good work, but they have volunteers who burn out for various reasons. And sometimes they're really hostile to political education, which I've experienced too. Like if you try and say, okay, well, let's study people who did this before us. Like, are we the first people to run a community garden? Let's study people around the world who did it. Let's look at the global South and stuff like that. I've seen pushback in some places. Why do we have to do that? Or my neighborhood is different than those neighborhoods. So, boo, 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 boo. Amber, I heard you saying something. Well, saw you saying something, but you're muted if you wanted to come off and say.
I was just agreeing with you.
So I don't know. I guess I'm trying to figure out in terms of. So we know you have like labor, right? You have people struggling in institutions, and then you have community organizing, and then you have like a lot of what people call PE.
Mm-hmm.
So even in the food distribution, like you said something about ideology, like what would be the ideology behind a food distribution? Because I feel like I've seen food distributions where I don't think there's a clear ideology. I think you can teach the people about mutual aid and what a mutual aid would look like, but at the end of the day, like they could just be giving back. The ideology could be giving back. So like, what do you mean?
I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. That's a very vague, like that's not, to me, I would use like Christianity as a form of ideology. Like there are people who believe that it is, they have their scriptures about Christ, about being Christ-like. They have the church. They have a governance structure in the church. They have a pastor who serves as a spiritual leader. They have people who run ministries, usually women, on the ground to move the work. And so they are kind of united by an ideology. I mean, when they pass out the food, you also often get scripture. They pray before the food drive opens and they pray after. And so all of those things to me are a sign that they are united by something ideological, which is their faith. I think if you were to run a mutual aid group that is not faith-based, then you do have to find something else to kind of be the core of that group. Otherwise, yeah, like it's just kind of a bunch of people getting together, and it's like what binds them other than caring, like a kind of vague feeling of caring, which lets people kind of jump in and jump out. And I think even A-Rob points out, I do food distribution on the principle of mutual aid. That's a politicized term, right? Because if it's not, like the whole point of mutual aid is it's something different than charity. So even that talks about an ideology of like self-determination, I think is one of the main ones. Like we have to do for self. We have to train the people who are most impacted to solve their problems. And I think that's a different ideology than just like we have to go out there and help the less fortunate.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what I'm saying. That like, and that's why in Joe Freeman's and other people's, when they talk about tyranny of structurelessness, the structure that's unclear to people that end up harming people could claim that ideology bring these people together, but really you would have to struggle on what those ideology, because if you have resources and monies and whatever, people are not only coming for they're coming for a job, or they're coming because they saw a viral video or whatever. And I wonder if you could find the ideology in there, because it still has to be like you still would have to be able to practice your ideology. And so coming into an organization, it seemed like everybody would be trying to practice this ideology they think they have. But if it's not straight,
it don't be ideology.
Say that again.
It don't be ideology. It literally be like they be having one thing in common.
Social
I think,
groups.
a good example is like the Moms for Liberty people. A lot of them don't believe in none of the same shit at all. They just believe in some of their Moms for Liberty shit around books and schools. That's it. They don't have none of the same ideology. If you talk to them, they don't be on the same page about stuff. And I've noticed it a lot in like the iterations of like the Republican Party, the MAGA, and the like white supremacist groups. Like all of them have one or two things that they agree on, but their ideologies are completely different. And most people in the group don't even know the ideology. And within your group's like I feel like a PSL, they do a really good job of like doing political education around what their ideology is. But there are a lot of people who join at first who just like something they did. They don't know what any of their ideology or beliefs are. They're just joining off the strength of that.
That's interesting. I would say that's a good point in that. So I do think Moms for Liberty has an ideology because they're being managed by people above them, like in the right-wing ecosystem, who are very MAGA, dark enlightenment, blah, blah, blah. But I hear you in the sense that people, if you're doing anything mass-based, the people who you try and bring into movement or into whatever you're doing might not have, like you said, a clear ideological foundation, might not even know what's going on. They just be like, yeah, like you said, they saw some propaganda. They're putting trans people to read to my kid, and that's not blah, 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 right? I do think, though, that the organization above them, because Moms for Liberty is funded, they're given tools on how to do the thing, is based on an ideology. So when they give you your talking points about how to go into the school and what to say and what to complain about, somebody with an ideology, white supremacy, homophobia, transphobia, is telling you and giving you the resources to act. So I do think that's another thing with folks who we try and bring into our movement, like self-determination. They might just have a baseline understanding of it. Like, I should control my block. You know what I mean? Or we should take care of ourselves.
And what does control mean though? Because in some
Right.
because functionally, like I promise you, I was literally talking about this with another ex-member, and the structure of this organization is literally not only going to help gentrify the neighborhood, but the person who's controlling going to benefit from gentrification. But their stated ideology on the website is they're there to stop gentrification, but they're contributing to it by buying a bunch of houses for cash payments, taking it from people who need housing. So like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like and this is this is the most revolutionary org that you could argue if you let people tell it, but concretely, right? Because so this was interesting about what you were saying, Lord. Like it made me think of how companies when companies go public. Before they go public, the private company, they're very kind of clear on the structure and who made money, who owns what, whatever. Once they go public for a bunch of not so wealthy, powerful people to invest in the company. And sometimes that investing public time period, this company might take on a new form, right? but the nucleus is going to stay where they at. Like some people might like think of the company a certain type of way, they might whatever. So I feel like in order for you to have like a mass-based presence, you would have, I would assume you would have to concretely do some things locally somewhere. Like you would have something, and then let the thing that you've been doing locally for a long time takes a national thing, because maybe one of the campaigns you was running went national, right? You was building this relationship for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and then something happened, and then it went. So I don't know. I think, even the person talk about how some of these organizations popped up or emerged in 2016. Like you talk about Black Panther start vetting people as they came in. Well, we on the left started vetting people as the organizations started popping up, and why people join, why people started organizations. Like, so I don't know. I just think it's I think there's I want to hear more struggle around the ideology piece, because maybe we might be using the definition wrong.
Well, I was gonna say, I think, yeah, because we can I think there's a difference between like principles of unity and an ideology. I think that's something that needs to be kind of addressed. I also think, to Amber's point, like ideology, or Amber made this point and George Blackson makes it, like ideology is always operating, even if people don't know how to verbalize it. So I think maybe principles of unity are a way of getting at ideology. But at the end of the day, I think it's hard to say when we're talking about folks who maybe have not been exposed formally and been able to struggle through their ideology and what they believe in. Because to this point, like some people would say, like it's cultural, right? They might be calling and those things are very linked, but they might just be saying we need a different culture. I hear that very often, actually. Like we're fixing the culture, we're shifting the culture, right? So I think principles of unity is a way for people to connect based on stuff they believe in without fully working out the framework of their belief, because that's what ideology is. It like helps you determine what you believe in the first place and like struggle through it and argue around whether or not something is moving you in the direction you want to or not. And I think like white Christian nationalism is an example, because if you ask those Moms for Liberty people, do you believe America's a Christian nation? They would probably say yes. If you ask them certain things about whiteness, they would probably be able to answer yes. But if you started getting into, the Dark Enlightenment and, superhumans and all sorts of weird shit that the Epstein bros are into, they probably would be like, I don't know about that. That's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. So I think, yeah, just thinking through this. I also would say that while organizations can be the focus here, we at Black Liberation Media already did kind of have to go through this process ourselves. So I actually think even self-reflection on our platform and how it came to be, talking about they had the energy, they had the language, they had the following. What they did not have was a process. And a lot of our struggle for the past few years as a platform has been developing a process and developing structures and identifying leadership, and Amber showing up to officers meetings, and us trying to get people signed up on time and making sure that the payments go where they need to go and that kind of thing. So I do think that this critique can apply to all sorts of formations, not just orgs or even mutual aid. Okay, I think this person finally gets into their case study. This is why I'm so deliberate, so very aggressive about the community welfare system. Built it by reading everything I could find, analyzing their programming, studying where their efforts were held and where they broke down. And I built it from years of doing this work myself, implementing it, failing at it, adjusting it, failing again, and trying again. Just theory and praxis. The community welfare system is not a repackaging of what already existed. The values existed, the instinct existed, the history existed, the framework, the specific 4-pillar structure, the build order, the way each pillar connects and depends on the next. That is what I built. When people say this was already shown, I want to be precise. The vision was shown. The process was not. The system was not. The structure that lets a community actually implement and sustain it was not. That is what is new. That is what this is. So it's specifically about the community welfare system, and they link it in their Substack, so we could read more if we went there. Liberation is not the absence of structure. Liberation is structure that's accountable to the people it serves. Structure that protects rather than controls, structure that distributes power rather than concentrating it, structure that survives, not because one person is heroically holding it together, but because the people inside it built something that can hold itself. And that's the end of that article. Your critique of structure is a trauma response.
It's giving lackluster.
I would need to focus more on the community welfare system to get more of an understanding. But yeah, I do hear one critique that really, really resonates. The piece about making sure it's not one person heroically holding everything together. I think in this work, we should always be trying to train a successor, always be trying to find replacements, because if we understand the nature of the struggle we're in, any of us can get removed, incarcerated, unalived, made broke, removed from our employment, that kind of thing. So that is the one piece I would recommend the most. And that's why structure is important, because it's supposed to train new people to do the thing. And I don't think we've all mastered that. I think it's very hard to master in the first place, mind you. I'm not trying to say it's something like, oh, so easy. You can just make your replacement, because it took a lot to get you to this point. But I do think we don't always think about making our replacement when we do our work. Go ahead, Gigi.
No, I mean, I just think, again, man, I wish that we can always have these things, and this is what I attempt to do. Always tie it to like actions or concrete examples, because sometimes this stuff can start to sound almost like just like the church, like you just regurgitate and repeating stuff, and like sometimes, I just think I don't think some leaders need to be replaced, like as in like training somebody to be like them or their next replacement. I think that's probably the problem. Like you, if you have a cult of personality and you have a bunch of sycophants around you, I mean.
I feel like those people are the less likely ones to train a replacement, though. I feel like those are the people who expect to rule forever and don't actually, like, their factions. Like, I think Trump's factions are building succession plans and trying to, build contingencies when the old man can't do it anymore. But I don't think Trump himself has been like thinking of a succession plan in that sense, or thinking of who's going to take on after him. I actually think he thinks like he's going to rule forever. In some way, shape, or form, because of his ego. So I tend to see those with the cult of personality as the less likely types to create a succession. And that's unfortunately, like, the Black misleadership class in our community are the ones who exhibit this a lot. Like, they get this pathology from the white man. But when we have these Congress people or these mayors who have been running over one of these Black cities for decades, and they've never found somebody else who they think, other than somebody who's like their son in their family, they haven't thought about, well, what's going to happen when I can't be mayor anymore? I'm 78 years old. What's going to happen when I can't be on the school board anymore? I've been here for 30 years and all I know is my position, and I get a good parking space and I get treated well at church. And they're not thinking about how to pass on to the next generation. And Amber, I know you have a mentor who was a politician. Yeah, you talked about you lost this person recently. Do you remember what I'm talking about? And they were somebody who was training.
Where you were going with that, so go ahead.
No, that was it. I was talking about that person and how they tried to train you and things like that, even though you weren't going to take their position ultimately. Were they an example of somebody who was trying to prepare a successor versus somebody who's like trying to keep a cult of personality?
I think they were in the middle. I think sometimes when you've been like in a public servant role for so long, you kind of get used to being in that role. And I kind of see it now with like people who are running for office in Memphis, like they just keep running for offices because they are so used to being in like a position. But I also think that like he did a really, really good job of like mentoring young people and trying to get them to run for office and possibly run for his seat, but I wouldn't do it. So I don't know if he just gave up because I wouldn't do it, but I will say he did try. I don't feel like he didn't try, but I do think that it was a mixture for him. I think that he still wanted to be considered like a public servant.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think some people do get caught between that, and then if it doesn't work the first time, they're like, "See, this is why I got to do it myself." Amber is not gonna do it. She don't want to be mayor of Memphis.
Don't blame me, bro. Why was they calling me? Why was this nigga calling me the Memphis Mom Donnie the other day?
You already see.
They finna start calling me Am Donnie. I was like, don't do that.
They already know.
You're doing too much. You're doing too much. Won't be a campaign over
Leadership
here.
is a trap. Yeah, sometimes leadership can be a trap, especially if you're leading a structure that you don't agree with in the first place. So
that part.
I mean, but I think when people respond like this, I'm not really sure. Like if you're having a conversation and your objective is to make sure that we are clear that leaderships are accountable, leaders and leadership is accountable, and then the next thing that comes at your mouth, we can't demonize leadership. I'm not saying that you did this, George, but I don't know how the conversation would flow. But I don't know how anybody can get to a point where would be a comment. And if that is the case, then I mean that's probably the conflict in our organizing spaces where niggas don't know how to struggle.
Donnie, get it together. Okay. I think it might have been just a general statement. Definitely. I would say the system is set up to replace the cult of personality of politicians, athletes, and anyone being exalted by the masses. Yeah, I think that's an important thing. The system itself will find a replacement, just like these grifters. I talk about that all the time. Because there's a structure and an ideology that's been set up, that's power. It reproduces itself. So yes, the individual person who's in the system, and that was, again, like my point about Amber's Moms for Liberty, like you can be a cog in the machine and not be aware of the broader machine. Right. And a lot of times that's how capitalism gets to work and reproduce itself. You could just be like, I'm just here to make as much money as possible. The system loves that. That's easy. You don't have to think too much. And that's what's dangerous and hard between our movement and theirs is we actually don't want you to think isolated and I'm just a cog in this wheel and blindly following stuff that actually gets you fucked up on our side of the barricade. But on their side, like if you just want to plug into the machine and do what it is, it's cool because they'll find someone else to replace you. And I think Jonathan Majors, which we started with, is one example. If it's not Jonathan Majors, they'll find somebody else. They'll find another person to tap dance and do this kind of thing. Candace Owens is not unique. There are a bunch of very, very smart Black women who are educated and good talking heads. If there's a dark version of Brianna Joy Gray, she could have been Candace Owens, right? If she wanted a right-wing bag, she could have, used her Harvard law degree and her good questions and gone over and done that kind of thing. So I do think that people will always find a way to play a certain role. Killer Mike is not the first of his kind, and he won't be the last of the coons. And so, I do think that's an important point to consider, is that the system can recreate and reproduce things without people being aware of it.
Yeah, any system can do that. Even the revolutionary system.
I think our systems struggle a little bit more to do it, unfortunately. And I think that's a sign of power, because power can reproduce itself. People believe in something. They believe it's true. Like when Huey says, you can define something. So if people believe in a thing, they're going to follow that thing, even if they don't necessarily know all of how it works. That's how I've seen it anyway. We are 9:13. We did start talking about news, but we haven't gotten into stories. So y'all want to jump into some stories now?
Sure. I saw a few. Anyone that stuck out to you?
Our favorite adjunct professor has a story.
Oh, yeah. Let's get into it.
Well, I know
Welcome.
my class,
And our class is very small. I think, first of all, people have this perception of Duke, like, oh, it's Duke, it's the best PA program, it must be
Who's playing what?
Who's playing Duke?
It started off as
Is that you,
91,
Amber?
and that is big for a PA program, but
Who's playing the Duke thing?
It was definitely me playing a video. I was trying to find something. I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was trying to find a video.
You got the story already?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool. You got the story. He said Geechee's got a story. I'm like, he beefing with Voice again.
Free Duke, free Duke advertisement. Shout out to Duke.
No, not
All
shout
right.
out to Duke, but I was trying to see how long the video was before I put it in the chat thingy.
Go ahead, do that. We got some stories. Welcome Friday Remix, Amber, Geechee, Lorik. While we source our stories as Amber's pulling them up. Geechee, what story do you have? Amber says you got a story for us.
I mean, I don't know. Amber's probably shooting the shit because I don't have any stories. I mean, I could, if you want to add stories. I mean, I don't have any particular story. But I was asking, did y'all, was there stories that our good comrade linked us with that y'all?
Yeah, Erica.
Yeah.
Erica dropped some important stories.
So I thought the Texas Roadhouse thing was interesting. None of this I looked at the title and was like, that would be interesting to get into. But Texas Roadhouse does.
Okay, I haven't seen this story yet. I was gonna
the CTE stuff for the NFL too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Renee and Ear Doctor and them covered it yesterday. But I'm down to check out the Texas Roadhouse story. I have no idea what you're referring to, so this will be interesting. And then Amber can source us with whatever's going on in Duke. I don't know. Y'all got me with the news today. All right, let's start with the Texas Roadhouse. Okay. Thank you, Sister Erica, for lacing us with stories all the time. Texas Roadhouse responds to food tampering racism allegations on TikTok. This is Afton Pratt with the Knoxville News Sentinel. All right. I love the key points summary here. That was great. I wish we had those back in the day when I had to write book reports. Over the weekend, Texas Roadhouse.
Believe it.
It's a show you, so you don't gotta read it.
You don't want those because you need to develop critical thinking.
That's AI. That's AI. That's AI.
All right. At the same time, the book reports would have been faster. Over the weekend, Texas Roadhouse responds to unverified social media allegations claiming employees at some of its restaurants discriminate against Black customers. No way. The chain said it is investigating the claims and remains committed to treating guests with respect. Texas Roadhouse made 2 TikTok posts on August 23rd. The first said the restaurant is dedicated to welcoming every guest. I need the video, so if this is what's linked, let's see if this is going to take us to the video. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. So I'm going to shift us to this tab. Due to losing our verification, our comments are not being seen. At Texas Roadhouse, we are committed to creating an environment where every guest is treated with respect and unreasonable hospitality. Unreasonable hospitality. Interesting. We do not tolerate discrimination, harassment, or mistreatment of any kind, and we expect our roadies to treat every guest with dignity and care. Our commitment to the communities in which we serve remains unchanged. Provide legendary food, legendary service to every guest who walks through our doors. Unreasonable hospitality. Y'all ever heard that before? I don't know what that means.
Do they know what it means?
I don't think so. We do not tolerate discrimination, or they said on its post. The second post seemed to address a video circulating on social media alleging discrimination. All right, so finally, get us to the source. Yeesh. All this extra stuff.
So what because I guess when I was hearing it, I was trying to immediately think about who isn't normally welcome in those spaces. And there's normally people who are struggling with some type of lack of shelter, because they're normally treated like shit in all the restaurants and whatever. So this unreasonable hospitality, I was trying to figure out if they trying to use some language to creatively say, now y'all dirty niggas, y'all can't come here now, but everybody else can come.
I don't. It's a very strange phrase. So I'm trying to see the original video, but they're saying the video Texas Roadhouse reference could not be independently verified. So I think that's why this journalist didn't add it, because I've been looking for it, and this link is just to another Texas Roadhouse response. We believe it to be completely unfounded. We take every accusation toward our brand seriously. We're investigating this alleged abhorrent behavior and remain committed to treating every guest with respect, dignity, and legendary service. They got legendary. That's got to be like a trademark thing. They have it in caps both times.
They
Legendary.
they using an AI chat box.
Generative AI. Listen, bro. Come on, man.
Right. Wow. It fits. I thanks y'all. I'm not surprised. That's what this feels like. Texas Roadhouse said it lost its verification badge on TikTok. It is unclear whether it's related to this controversy. What was Texas Roadhouse accused of? Okay, journalistically, can y'all start with this next time? Social media users say Texas Roadhouse response was due to allegations that servers and employees were treating black diners differently. The allegations stem from a screenshot of a Facebook post made on an existing group called White and Proud. Wow. The post claims servers at Texas Roadhouse and Logan's Roadhouse were tampering with food prepared for black customers. Okay. The post appears to no longer be up on Facebook, though a screenshot has been widely shared. So we got a screenshot from a group called White and Proud that they're messing with black people's food. That seems pretty reliable, but okay.
So what city again this is? Because I can all
reliable to me.
So it's just coming from Knoxville, but they're talking about Texas Roadhouse, which is a chain. So I want to assume Knoxville because of where the news is being reported from, even though it's a Texas Roadhouse.
Because again, this sounds like there's a Texas Roadhouse restaurant somewhere in the United States in a white area where white people are literally spitting and all the other things in black people's food when they come in. They got caught, and now there's a national story. And
yeah, I think that's what I'm getting from this. To mess with someone's food is the highest level of disrespect, the TikTok user said while discussing allegations in the video. The accusations of food tampering have sparked fear among black Texas Roadhouse customers, with many people expressing in TikTok comments that they will no longer dine at the restaurant. As a black woman who loves Texas Roadhouse, I will never eat here again because I cannot be sure my food is being handled safely, one user responded to the restaurant's post. In an email, a spokesperson for Texas Roadhouse said the allegations were an online hoax. Our current investigation points to this being an online hoax. We have found no credible evidence of food tampering, and the Facebook post has since been deleted. So when people say stuff like this, we have found no credible evidence, I would love if they detailed their investigation process. What did you actually do?
What was the process you used to get to that conclusion?
Right. How will we know? Yeah, exactly. You know
or just start with what give us an example of what you would say is credible and what would you say is not credible.
Yeah, exactly. Of these things. And how did your investigation go? Because it's funny, because they say our investigation says this is an online hoax. So Texas Roadhouse, I don't know what departments they have set up to investigate claims. They don't seem like a detective agency. They somehow, through their own investigation of themselves, said it's a hoax. But when it comes to something else, they says we have engaged with a third-party firm to help us attempt to locate the source of this unfounded allegation. So y'all can find a third party to investigate the person who posted it, but you can't have a third party to investigate yourselves. That's very.
So this, I think, this is kind of what I've been, what we've been reading. This argument around public and private property, right? And so this our investigation, it always comes from like they do internal investigations, right? And what we do with our property and our customers and our land is our responsibility. So that's why this, even the ideology or the notion or the value for people to trust capitalists to investigate in the interest of the workers or the consumers of whom both they're exploiting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. So we investigated ourselves, and then we think we did no wrong, but we're going to hire somebody to investigate the person who made the allegations against us. Sounds like America. Texas Roadhouse locations in Tennessee. Texas Roadhouse surprisingly did not begin in Texas. Yes, that's what we say. Okay, it's in Tennessee each year. The first location was opened in Kent Taylor in Clarksville, Indiana. So Indiana opened the first Texas Roadhouse. In 2004, hey, what you said earlier, Texas Roadhouse became a publicly traded company, according to the restaurant's website. Texas Roadhouse, based in Louisville, Kentucky, has grown to 755 locations nationally and internationally. The restaurant has been around in Tennessee since the 2000s, according to previous coverage. The chain has continued to expand. In 2016, Texas Roadhouse had 13 locations. In in Tennessee. It has added 7 more since then, bringing it to 20 locations across the state. All right, this article was poorly written. No, sorry, sis, whoever wrote this. No offense, but we got to structure this better.
You said sis.
I forgot it's a white woman, Afton Pratt.
Afton ain't hitting nothing.
Sis. You're
She
right.
ain't got no shit.
Yeah, I didn't like how this was written. It's kind of chaotic, hard to follow, and then really random information at the end. So whatever, you got to get it done before the deadline. I get it. We all trying to make our paychecks under capitalism. So, all right, that was that story.
Wait, that's what this story made me feel like. I've been listening. We've been listening to these clips of this guy lately. All his blunders.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Yeah, that's a lot of people know that clip from the J. Cole song because he uses that in there. But yeah.
Hey man, listen. Somebody edited a clip. Somebody edited a clip of all his sayings, and that nigga was stupid, bro.
Bro, he was Trump before. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, he worse than Trump, bro. Like you
think he's worse? All right. I don't know about that.
I'm talking about with ignorant, like putting words and sentences together. Man, I don't know.
That's a hot take.
I don't think
worse than Trump.
I think Trump can put better sentences together than Bush. That's what I think. God damn, that motherfucker.
You might be right.
And Trump is like, yeah. I don't know, man.
All right, I had maybe that's an interesting question. I had a Trump video recently that they're both so incompetent it's actually funny. This video had me cracking up though. This was Trump recently. That's why I don't know. I think they're in competition with each other. There you go.
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah, he has.
Did you see it?
I'll just lie.
That's good. Who responded? Yes. Bro. I don't know, man.
Listen. Play it back though, because what's happening? His head, he's trying to lie, and then he's honest. He understands.
He's just like, I lied. Fuck it. That's what I see him think do it.
But Bush don't even know sometimes. I think Trump.
All right.
It's not a stretch, but Trump is smarter than Bush, bro.
Man, okay, smarter.
It's not an accomplishment.
Why hasn't Kim Jong-un responded to your request? Was the prompt here?
Responded to your request to have a conversation.
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
That's all I'm saying. Like, so Trump, listen.
Yeah.
That's a coherent conversation. He's kind of like, damn, them niggas doing their research. Yeah, he has. So I'm telling you, Bush don't have the capacity to think in any kind of manner like that. Like, I mean, that's why he was able to exploit people successfully without them killing them in his capital business. Bush couldn't do that. So he's smarter than Bush.
Brother James is right. Lying is not the same as sounding remedial. I agree. All right. Let's get to Amber's story now. That was, oh my God. All right. Amber, you got me on Threads. Oh my God.
This is it.
Can't do Threads.
I don't know if y'all want to talk about it, but I just thought it was an interesting story.
No, we definitely will.
When I think about the lens, I'm thinking of it in the lens of like an abolitionist. Like, what is the response when somebody does something like this type of thing?
Okay. All right. The Get Ready With Me psych quotations?
Yes.
Okay, so I have the video up, and then we can get into the thread itself. Thank you for sharing. All right.
Hey guys, get ready with me for my psych rotation as a PA student. I feel like this is long overdue and I haven't done a get ready with me with you guys yet. You guys, I've been waiting so long to start my clinical year because I am such a hands-on person. Random fact about me.
What's the music in the background?
Psychiatrist for the longest. But later down the line, I just learned that wasn't the career path for me. I've really been loving my psych rotation right now. It has definitely been a 10 out of 10 for me. I've been doing patient interviews, doing mental status exams. Also been following up on patient meds, therapy sessions and doing soap notes. I've been putting my knowledge from didactic year to good use, you guys. Hey, I woke up early, not only because I've just been in this
playing soft porn
but also
remix
just
morning.
very grateful for where I am this year versus last year. Last year during didactic, I was so stressed out all the time, from sunup to sundown, sitting in classes and having to study for hours on end. I had no free time. I can confidently say that God is the only reason I made it through last year. Lately, I've just been reminding myself that I can handle this, God's got me, and I belong here. Between studying, rotations, and just trying to take better care of myself, I've been learning I don't need to be busy 24/7, and I've been finding joy in just having a little routine. And let me just say, the schedule is so nice compared to some of the other rotations. I actually have time to sleep, have breakfast, and not feel like I'm dragging myself throughout the day. It's honestly so nice. I've been making sure I take care of my health too. Breakfast, skincare, a quick workout or stretch. Last but not least, I always do a devotional or a prayer time before I start my
figured you'd
morning.
want to see the book. Okay, let's see. What's the book?
Workout or stretch. Last but not least, I always do a devotional or a prayer time before I start my morning. Go to all the other rotations. I actually have time to sleep, have breakfast, and not feel like I'm dragging myself throughout the day. It's honestly so nice. I've been making
It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolin. We gotta read.
Well, you can read backwards like that.
Yeah, how something family trauma shares who we are and how to end the cycle. Okay, it's about how family trauma shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. All right, that was
family trauma. Why she blaming on her family?
All right, I don't know. I'm confused where this is going, but someone already said it's wild in the comments, so I remember.
We don't have to finish watching the rest of it. Basically,
okay. Wait, what do you? We already started. We're almost done. No. What happened?
We're gonna have to finish. You're gonna have to finish.
Care of my health too. Breakfast, skincare, a quick workout or stretch. But not least, I always do a devotional or a prayer time before I start my morning. So to all my fellow PA students or healthcare workers, listen, I know we all get tired. Give yourself the credit. We are out here grinding, showing up for ourselves, and still managing to function like a normal human being. Listen, progress is progress, and even if it's fueled only by caffeine and Celsius, we still show up. We still make it happen. So I'm officially halfway through my program, which is insane. It's going by so fast, but I've been enjoying it. Honestly, if I made it this far, I can literally do anything. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it and like for part 2.
Okay, what's the context there? This seems like a normal get ready with me.
She's not a real.
The context is that she's not in Duke's PA school. She's not
it don't even look like it. It just like it looked like she's trying to make a little jab at the bonnet wearing people. Like I can wear a bonnet and I'm successful. But she's talking, don't sound like she even knows what she really talking about.
She's Cheyenne.
Yeah, she's faking the entire thing. And so then the person who the black girl whose like life she emulated made a video. So she's in if you go down in the comments, it's the first video right there. The girl had to make a video because the girl was basically faking her entire life.
Okay. Went down the rabbit hole, who had been faking being a Duke University PA student, deleted her account at the class historian, called her out. Okay. Oh, the class historian did it. Here's a Duke PA class historian. Oh, it's another black woman. Okay. I think it takes a lot of guts to shut down someone who's faking their whole life, especially
click the video.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into it. I hate the fact that this is the way that we're being introduced, but my name is Kira. I am a recent graduate of the Duke PA program, class of 2026. I'm also the class historian, so I know every single person in my class, and our class is very small. I think, first of all, people have this perception of Duke, like, oh, it's Duke, it's the best PA program, it must be huge, it must be easy to go unnoticed. No, our class it started off as 91 people. And that is big for a PA program, but not big enough that we don't all know each other's names. Like, we know each other by name. We're actually very close. So during my didactic year, which is the first year of PA school, when I first started noticing this girl posting, like one of my classmates had said that somebody asked if we know Angel, and we're like, who is that? So we looked into it. We're deep in didactic year, by the way. So we're busy. We have stuff to do. I think people don't understand how hard PA school is. And so that's why they're like, oh, why didn't you just, because we're actually earning our degree. Like, that junk takes time. It's hard. So please look into it. And if you don't believe me about like my credentials, because obviously, you can trust nothing you see on the internet now. I've been posting my PA school journey since before I even started PA school. And every day from our first welcome weekend, our first orientation, is on my page, timestamp. So please go check it for yourself. I've literally been documenting my entire clinical year journey. And every single week I've done a video recapping my clinical week and what I've done that week and learned in rotations.
I was gonna say, it seems like sis is just getting copied. I was gonna I saw her. I was like, wait, you look like the girl who did the last video. So she does the same thing as homegirl who's pretending to be her. That's crazy. The internet's a crazy place.
It's insane, but it made me think about, because we were talking about in the class this week about like abolition and like how do you approach like certain things and like what is the response to certain stuff. And I feel like most people's response to this would be like, that girl needs to be punished. But also, like, is she okay? Because you faking somebody's entire life, like, you need some help.
Yeah.
A jacket or two. Like, what's wrong with you? And I also feel like she getting away with the shit because she pretty. Because pretty girls get away with shit all the time.
Cheyenne Bryant.
As a pretty girl myself. Yeah, they get away with shit like that all the time, and they be faking their credentials or faking their life entirely, and people would just act like it didn't even happen. Like, where is the accountability? Where is the something? Like, what does she do in her real life? Like, is this what she does? She just makes videos on the internet? I just think it's so concerning, and it makes it hard for you to trust anything you be seeing nowadays, because people really do fake their entire lives on the internet. And she was faking that shit in detail. Like, I know she using all the terms and everything. I was like, whoa.
I agree. Go ahead, get you started.
No, I thought it possibly was satire at some point, because if it was satire and she was saying like, y'all see this bonnet and y'all see these people who do these videos of get ready with me, and then y'all see these high achieving med students or whatever, and y'all all are the same. Maybe I thought she was trying to say that, but
no, she was trying to say that girl life. I agree with Cherie. She said pretty privilege is why it lasted so long. It's exactly why.
Shout out Cherie as well.
As a person who definitely took that pretty privilege for a run, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's exactly why it lasted so long. I didn't get away with all kinds of shit. I know that's why it lasted so long.
She should have went to acting school.
Well, Harriet Tubman had pretty privilege too, but she used it.
They said, Damon said she should have picked the less prominent school.
Yeah, that's how you finesse. But then again, who's going to watch your content if you're not grifting with the highest, thing? I with Amber, like my first response when you did this is like, baby, are you okay? Like, that's very sociopathic behavior.
It was like very sociopathic. Like,
about you. I understand the internet incentivizes sociopathic behavior, so it's a larger structural thing. But I would want to talk to the person and be like, why? Because to me, being proud, shout out to sis who actually is a class historian and did it. We do need medical providers. We need Black providers. Contextualization, hold all that. And these schools are nothing to be proud of. Fuck these schools. So I'm also always like, when you make your brand about one of these elite white institutions that wouldn't even let you on the campus, wouldn't let my Black ass on campus if I have an ID, then I'm also kind of like, why are you giving free clout to Duke in the first place? Fuck Duke. But I understand that is kind of like the dynamic we're stuck between. So I think that the other sis, who's the class historian, I do want to follow your life. I do want to understand all those things. But like, a big part of your brand is that you are authentically the Black woman at Duke. And so you're coming at the knockoff version, but like, again, your brand is very much tied to this white institution. So I'm not.
So like,
I mean,
Brittany's comment made me think about something too. She said, I wouldn't care if she wasn't pretending to be a physician's assistant.
Right.
Physician's assistant and could potentially get into hospitals and hurt folks. I think unless people might not understand, a physician's assistant is basically a doctor. Like, you can see a PA instead of a doctor when you go to the doctor. I've seen PAs. My neurologist is a PA. So I would not want to see a PA that's not an actual PA. And that girl had a fucking ID. Like, I saw Mixie said, I don't know, it's not hurting anyone really. That girl had an ID. She made an ID for a hospital to run clinicals.
Mm-hmm.
If she'll do that, she might try to get into the hospital.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And even if she doesn't, like,
they're not letting her in the damn hospital now.
Well, you don't know.
You've seen the movies and shit where people go pretend to be nurses and steal babies and shit.
I know movies
do crazy shit, man.
Geechee, I'm just gonna say I live in Miami. I
know down there. I know the little boys.
Let me pull up my dog.
I know the gyno. I know your gyno guy down there, but like, yeah, we'll see.
Hold on, I gotta show my dog. Wait, what's
That man started his own gynocentric. No, not
You see?
gynocentric.
Y'all know this
Gynecology.
brother? Y'all
Yeah.
remember this
I remember
story?
him.
Yes. Okay. So I have seen it, Geechee. She might be at the hospital because this brother was 18, pretending to be a physician. So
With a
that's-
mohawk.
with the mohawk, he looked like a kid. His glasses looked like he's still in high school, man.
The people is not using. I don't know what people are doing, but it's just not. I just wanted to highlight it because I also am wondering, like, okay, so what is the response? What does the accountability look like? Because y'all need to go check on that girl. Okay, she deleted her account, cool, but she might just delete her account, wait a month, and then start doing the shit again.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
I was gonna say I 100% agree. She needs to be checked on. There needs to be some sort of accountability, and because the internet incentivizes this behavior, like there won't be. Because currently, Cheyenne Bryant, she's on a book tour. She was down here, so like she's on a book tour. She got exposed. People were coming to her defense. Even Mark Lamont Hill was low key defending her, which I thought was wild. A lot of people were just accepting it. And even though, like the internet, Trump, a lot of them are showing you like it's a post-truth world, fake it till you make it. Allegations aren't real. Nothing is real. Let it bounce off of you. Stick to your
And
own
that's still
narrative.
concerning because we already got all this AI shit that's making stuff.
I mean, but
creating
you
videos
just
that don't
created the
exist.
foundation.
Yeah. But she could, so like Cheyenne just leaned into the meme, basically. Like she was posting videos to go viral with like a cap and gown and then like people are in the comments like, ha, I found that cap and gown on Etsy and blah, 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 blah. Like that she knows that is her farming engagement because now you're going to be all upset and blah, 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 blah in her comments. And she's like, cool, that controversy fuels my popularity, all of that. And to your point, Amber, she's dangerous to me. People who give advice on life, on counseling, on medicine to our people who are uniquely susceptible.
She said she was doing medical consultation. She was like meeting with people. That's dangerous.
Yes. And Keontae, that's what we've been talking about already. Pretty privileged. Cheyenne can get away with it because she's fine as fuck. And the men who platform her understand that.
I wonder what's the other side of that thing, like, because I know y'all kept saying that pretty privileged, and then I would assume that that's why I'm sure there's a man on
I'm
space.
uniquely positioned for what that feels like on the other side because before I lost like a massive amount of weight, I've been pretty my whole life. I was just bigger. So I feel like I didn't get away with the amount of shit I got away with after I lost weight. And I definitely see the difference between pretty privilege because pretty privilege is also tied to your body type too. So I've always been attractive, but I was just in a bigger body. And I never got away with no shit. People definitely treated me less than. They definitely was on bullshit. They did not trust. Like when I was talking about like my degrees or other stuff, they didn't like immediately trust that I knew what I was talking about. They didn't trust my intellect as much. I lost weight. People asking to interview me. I'm getting away with all kinds of shit. I was running amok in the city. I ain't gonna hold you. I was doing a lot. And I was getting away with it. I literally would just walk into places and not pay for stuff, like at parties and stuff. People would be buying me drinks and stuff. I would just do whatever I wanted and never expected to have to, like, I would not have a reservation for something and would walk in and just be like expecting somebody to make it happen. And they would, because I was pretty and I'm desirable. So I definitely know that like it's a huge difference between how you treat people who you don't feel are desirable and how you treat people who you feel are. And she getting away with that shit because she looked good.
Go ahead, Keith.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just trying to understand because I do understand that people who might be as whoever you call them pretty and desirable, they also get harassed just as much as they get passes, right?
I definitely get harassed. Somebody this week on Tuesday, a man followed me for 1.5 miles in his car while I was driving down the road to tell me to take his phone number and yelled at me constantly, going through multiple lights until I wrote down his phone number. And all he could see was my face.
Insane.
And I definitely feel the same thing. I get both of them. I get like super inappropriate comments on my pictures on Instagram. Like I get both ends of it. It's just more egregious because I've lost weight. That's literally the only difference. My face pretty much looks the same. My body just looks different. but it definitely, like Shinemacha said in the chat, pretty privilege captures the male gaze. Women tend to question it more. The drivers of it are the men, the gazers, the algorithm coders, etc. Yeah, it's always men.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think
it also to me showed me how men don't have discipline. Because I was the shit I was getting away with. I'm not talking about no crimes, y'all. By the way, I'm just talking about like I'm just using people. Like I was just like, yeah, you'll pay for it, you'll cover it. I don't know how much the bill is, and I just walked away. And I knew they would do it, and they did.
I know that
because I don't want to be abusing it, but I definitely was on some bullshit.
And I think some people in the comments are already getting at a possible misinterpretation, but Cherie's already corrected it, that like ugly, quote unquote, women get harassed too. And then, well, the whole point is that people don't care when that happens, when you're not desirable and you're harassed. And in fact, they're more likely to deny the validity of your harassment and say, "What do you mean? You crack? What are they saying? Cracked, or what's the word? Chopped. You're chopped." And like, well, why would I want to harass you? There's nobody who's actually trying to talk to you like that. So I think that's an issue.
And I think it's a double-edged sword, because the person who harasses the person knows that people won't believe them.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely been harassed when I was in like college, and people was like, no, I didn't nobody bother that girl. And that person was definitely harassing me. But because I'm in a bigger body, I'm like this nerdy black kid, y'all think, well, nobody find me attractive, so you think they didn't really do it.
Mm-hmm. So I think the zoom out too, and I think you were already saying the word. Zen, you talked about the exhibit of what I wore when I got raped, and I remember that conversation as well. So it's a victim blaming complex. I think you were saying the word desirability, and that's a term I've heard thrown around a lot that I think gets into this desirability politics, and how that gets you access to capital under capitalism. So you are already talking about what you get access to for that. But again, desirability politics, as we've been saying, are driven by men, driven by patriarchy, driven by capitalism. Someone was saying the people who code the algorithms, the male gaze, all of those things. What immediately made me think of, and you can talk about how several of these women have been in questionable situations, is desirability politics around, somewhat petite, light-skinned or biracial women by our Black misleadership class. And so this image is one I use very often for conversations. If you look around, this is not a Black or light-skinned woman. This is Kim Kardashian. But if you look at the quote-unquote powerful, what Kevin Samuels would call high-value men at this table, you notice something about all of their partners, lighter skinned or white, pretending to be Black women. So this is this whole thing about desirability. At the same time, what do we know about these women? Beyonce's had situations with her husband, and there's also a potential grooming discussion that happened there about how he met her when she was 17. Cassie, we didn't seen more than enough information about how Cassie is treated. So under capitalism, that desirability doesn't protect women from being harmed. But it does create this kind of self-reinforcing cycle where other women are like, well, I need my Jay-Z. I need my Swiss Beats. I need my high-value Black man. So how do I get desired, essentially, and start working on it? Yeah.
And I think it's also like that's why I'm glad I be going to therapy. If I wasn't going to therapy, I probably would have been a menace to society. But because I turned out to be a good person. But I do think that it gave me a unique look into how like women do abuse the pretty privilege thing, and how they use it in like this capitalist system, like Cherie was saying in the chat. And I also think that I've seen like some of my friends who are smaller than me, like when we were in college and stuff, they always like supported me and like made sure that nothing was gonna happen. Like they was always down for me. And you have to have people like that around you, because motherfuckers will get away with all kind of shit if you don't. Like I think you have to have like a good friend base around you. I think a good example of that is, I know y'all didn't watch Love Island, but there was a girl on Love Island, her name was Melanie. And she used to be a plus size model before she was on the show. And she lost like a whole bunch of weight. I think we had talked about it a little bit. And they talked about on the show how you were seeing in real time, she was accepting of a lot of behavior because she was new to the pretty privilege that she had. Like she was very new to like the attractiveness and people being attracted to her. and it kind of had her being more accepting of inappropriate or disrespectful behavior from the people that she was like talking to and dating on the show. And I think that that was very true. I don't think that she was fully willing to accept that, but I think that was also very, very true. And I have experienced that. I didn't accept the disrespectful behavior, but I have experienced that and knew you have to make a choice in the moment to not accept that shit, or else they'll get away with everything. You gotta be like, you gotta know, like, okay, they're trying to treat me like this, and I know my worth. I cannot let them treat me like this. And if I do, I'll never live it down. Like they'll continue to do it forever. So it's really like it's a double edged thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm struggling with the word privilege, just like I did with like this concept of white privilege. I'm like,
I think somebody in the chat said lookism.
yeah, I saw that, but yeah, I don't know. I just think.
I mean, I do think privilege makes sense because it does give you a level of privilege that you didn't. I did not have
privilege
before.
among who? Like in terms of like white people.
I will say, I think
proximity to whiteness.
No, I would say I think a prime example is I've been organizing since college, right? Because people, and I've been organizing a lot. Like I passed policies, all the stuff I was doing before I lost weight, I've been doing after I lost weight. People didn't even mention that it was me who did most of the stuff I was doing until I lost weight, until I was desirable in a way that they felt like, okay, she deserves to be given credit. And I'm talking about like big things I was doing. Like I'm not doing I was doing big dog shit. They wouldn't interview me. People didn't mention me. Nothing. And then I lost weight during the pandemic, and all of a sudden it was like Amber Sherman, who's Amber Sherman, who organized. All of a sudden, I'm so desirable. So it does give you a level of privilege because there's people who I also organized with who also were doing things who deserve credit, but they weren't getting it.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's a privilege that you're being given, and you also have to handle that in a certain way. And I handle that by bringing people with me because also the other folks isn't even like, I'm not talking about folks who are bigger. I'm talking about folks who are like older and aren't as attractive, so people don't give them credit for stuff. Or folks who are younger, because we treat young people a certain way too, right? Like some of my little mentees, they don't get credit for stuff either. I have to bring them into the rooms with me. Like that kind of, when I think of privilege in that way, I think of it in like that light of I'm bringing all the folks with me who are also experiencing the same injustice and the same disposable behavior that I experienced, and I'm going to use that privilege in a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I just think there's a more precise way to explain it, and I think one of the comrades did in the chat. But go ahead, Lord.
Yeah, I mean,
pull that comment up.
Yeah, as you search for it, get you. I think these terms are all related, though. Like when you say certain terms in the field, right? Yeah. So I saw that comment as well. When you say certain terms in the field, though, they're associated with different things, or they can be associated with different parts.
My bad.
Oh, sorry.
They can be associated with different parts of a phenomenon, right? So when Amber says privilege, or when I've seen the term privilege, it's referring to, from an individual perspective, access to resources, capital, and better life outcomes. That is the privilege is saying, in comparison to other people who do not have these traits, you have certain access to these things. That does not preclude the conversation from explaining the structures that give you that access. The structures that give you that access are colorism, white supremacy, featureism, texturism, things of that nature. So I don't feel like we have to separate the two. Thank you, Maggie, for the accessibility practice. We're supposed to read this for people who are listening. The comment says, I hate when people deploy the term pretty privilege as opposed to just naming colorism, featureism, texturism. So I agree. I also think over time, depending on where you're from, what period, all those things, you'll have different terms. So if lookism was a term before, that maybe be a term that's falling out of favor, but it describes the same thing. So I'm less focused on the terms and more what they're trying to describe. But y'all know I'm the definitions guy. So that's why, to me, having clear definitions will make it so there's not antagonism between the things. I don't think desirability politics is antagonistic to pretty privilege, is antagonistic to colorism. I think they all make sense in the same conversation, depending on how you want to describe something. And again, yeah, and then again, yeah, like let's just I also love mapping stuff. Like I miss my whiteboard so much. I have them like smaller ones, but like I used to have a wall that we painted dry erase and you could just draw stuff on them, right? So colorism, featureism, texturism are all part of what? I would draw the arrows, I draw a big umbrella, and we would say white supremacy. So there you go, right? You just need to map the things. So I think you can get from the term privilege into these deeper structural systems. And I think you can go in the other order. I think you could start with white supremacy and then talk about a specific feature of white supremacy, which in this case is why are certain desirable women getting access to certain things that other non-desirable women don't get access to. So that's how I would approach the conversation. But in the context of white privilege as well, I think it's describing how white people have certain access to capital, different life outcomes, and are treated specific ways. But that again is a feature of white supremacy. So I don't think we have to
I
be
agree, and I
too-
agree with the chat. Some folks in the chat were saying we should have Deshaun on to talk about this. I agree. I think we tried to get him. We like talked before about trying to get him on the show, and I think that we should. And I didn't mean to go on a tangent around this topic around that girl, but I just really feel like we should explore when people do stuff like that more. One, they probably get psychosis, but two, like what does the accountability or the follow up look like? That's not punishment, because I do think that like the immediate assumption is like punishment, and I don't think that that's what we should be doing. But we should call out like what's happening, which is like she's getting away with something because she's attracted, and she should be held accountable for the harm that she's causing.
Mhm. Well, I would think that would require a community of people to hold her and hold her accountable. To me, one of the things that would be interesting is, do you really want to be a PA? You know what I mean? Like, I do understand the exposure thing, but this is what I mean by that black woman. I'm not saying that the class historian sees herself this way. I'm just saying naturally she sees this person imitating a life that she is literally living. And so I think one restorative way would be for her to reach out to this person. I don't think they're going to get into Duke anymore after pretending to go to Duke, right? But reaching out to this person, being like, "Hey, sis, you want to be a PA? Like, I've done it. What are your interests? I can maybe help you with an application, those kinds of things, and not doing it on camera, not doing it in front of social media, doing it behind the scenes, and then getting her into a program, and then maybe helping her become a PA, because that seems to me like a cry for help almost. And then maybe you took the test and you didn't do well and you feel really shame about it, and this is your response to shame. So I agree, Amber. Like, I don't like the shame-based thing. I really do want to understand a person and why they behave in such a like bizarre way. And then from there, yeah, because it's not like there's not a lot of harm to repair in this situation. I think in the Cheyenne situation, I can't say that because I'm not her client. So I don't know. Like, I legitimately am worried because she has clients and I know a lot of people. I'm in the circle.
Well, apparently
space
she's
don't
a
know.
coach. She doesn't have like psychiatric clients, but
Which is, but then when you start giving yourself authority, and then like the coach thing is just for legal protection, you know what I mean? Like, so she doesn't get sued for claiming, but she's giving herself this kind of authority. And we live in a society where a lot of people are challenging other forms of authority, medical authorities, for example, accreditation boards. So if you're in a society where it's like, I don't need a doctor, or I don't believe in Western therapy or anything like that, then I think you start putting authority in this other person in a way that's dangerous. So that's kind of where I get, worried about it. Yeah, the coach label
also,
does a lot of
Deshaun
lifting.
uses they them pronouns. My bad for that. Just want to clear that up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. But yeah, this is a very interesting story, very much a story of the era we live in. I think someone else already raised that there's AI that adds to this kind of misinformation vortex that we're in too. So it's just a lot for us to get accurate information about a thing in the first place. I think we're coming to a close. That story kind of reminded me of the resurgence of preventable diseases that are happening because of things like the anti-vax movement. Again, why this stuff isn't victimless per se, even if she hasn't caused too much harm. I think just eroding people's trust in medical practices is dangerous right now, because that's kind of what the right wing loves. They love making sure we can't have access to reproductive rights. They love making sure that we deny climate change is real. They love allowing all sorts of kooky conspiracy theories that keep people in line with conservative ideology to exist. So this last story is a sad one, but it's expected under Republican governments. An infant is one of the 2 measles-associated deaths in Pennsylvania, and this was August 27th. The individuals were not vaccinated, health officials say, which we know is a big pillar of the MAGA, the Tea Party, the right in this country is being anti-vax. That's why they put that weirdo Robert Kennedy in charge of the Department of Health. An infant was among 2 measles-associated deaths in Pennsylvania, the state health department confirmed to ABC News on Wednesday. Both individuals from Lancaster County were unvaccinated. The health department said they classify a death as measles-associated when there's evidence of measles either through laboratory testing or epidemiological links. The specific cause of death will be determined by the county coroner, whose investigation into the infant's death is ongoing. ABC News reached out to the county coroner for additional details, but did not immediately hear back. The 2 individuals marked the first deaths related to measles within the state in 35 years, according to Pennsylvania Department of Health, and the first deaths reported this year in the U.S. My deepest sympathies are with the loved ones who are facing this unimaginable loss, Dr. Deborah Bogan, the state's Secretary of Health, said in a statement, because measles was largely eliminated in the Commonwealth for more than 3 decades. People are not familiar with this disease and don't fully understand the potential severity of the illness. To protect the privacy of the patients and their families, the health department said it will not release any additional details that could lead to the identification of the individuals. In late July, the number of confirmed measles cases in the U.S. surpassed the total reported for all of last year, according to data from the CDC. Last year, a total of 2,289 was previously the highest number of recorded measles cases in more than 30 years. So under Trump, we were already at a record high. And now the 2,777 total marks the highest number of cases recorded since 1991. The CDC recommends that people receive 2 doses of the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, rubella, first at ages 12 to 15 months, and the second between 4 and 6 years old. 1 dose is 93% effective, and 2 doses are 97% effective against measles. CDC data shows vaccination rates have been lagging in recent years. During the 2025 to 2026 year, 92.4% of kindergartners received the vaccine. This marks the 3rd straight school year with declining MMR coverage rates and is lower than the 95.2% seen in the 2019 to 2020 school year prior to COVID-19. And so I think it continues on, pointing out how nearly 20% of cases, not most, but nearly 20% of the cases have been hospitalized. The bulk of cases have been reported in Lancaster County, Geisinger Medical Center in Danville. So it goes on to say more. But this is what we're living under in a society that's very anti-intellectual, anti-science, and then, of course, the people in power are the ones spreading that. So that's super sad to hear. Any thoughts on that last story?
I just want to say I agree with Threads. At this point, it's too many food recalls. Ain't nothing safe to eat but the rich.
Say that. Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't even get into the FDA. I think it was covered earlier, but
they the one that got the most chemicals. They got to be they got to get up out of here.
They're all connected. The vaccine shit and the food recall shit is all connected.
I did want to add one story I commonly say when we discuss vaccines, because I know people are skeptical of them. We do have a free clinic down here at the Freedom Lab. And so what I do when we start having anti-vax conversations is I'm like, well, I know you don't trust the medical system broadly. Have you talked to a Black physician about this? The answer is often no, a lot of times, because people will say they don't know a Black physician. And so what I do try to say, and this is point of the community organizing, is, well, we do have one here. So before you go super anti-vax, go talk to Dr. Arman, ask him some questions, see if he shares your concerns and all of that, right? So I do think you should lean on experts if they are in your network.
Mm-hmm.
We also had, I think Jared brought on a nurse from Elam, which is the Cuban medical school. So we also have physicians who came from Cuba who were not trained in the US empire who can talk about vaccinations and things like that. So I like to start there, but also just speaking about our history, some of the Marxism discussion where I talk about how like things can be independently observed and discovered by different groups of people. I saw today that surfing was something that was practiced in Ghana as well as in the Pacific Islands and in Peru, all kind of independently developed. So what I do point out is that white people were not the first to invent vaccines. In fact, they were the last to invent vaccines when you look at it historically. So a story of Onesimus is another one I recommend to people. If you look it up, there's I think a biblical figure that's Onesimus, and then they call him Bostonian, which I think is fucked up because he was not Bostonian. He was a captured African who was actually from the Akan people. But if you look him up on Google, the most accurate search engine there is, Onesimus is a Bostonian. But it says even in this thing, he was an African, likely a con man. And so I always know this story.
Onesimus.
Onesimus, am I saying it wrong? Onesimus? Sorry about that. Thank you all in the comments if you help me.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Geechee.
Remember, I used to study. I used to teach.
You used to teach what?
Teach the Bible a little bit. I know a little.
A little Bible stuff. Onesimus. Thank you. Yeah, you can do a little Bible study. My bad. I've been out for a while. Onesimus, and now I can finally stop calling it Onesimus because I've been saying that forever. Onesimus was like an African man, likely a con, who was instrumental in the mitigation of smallpox in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, this, I don't agree, ancestor. I don't agree with your strategy, brother. I do like that you had our knowledge, or you carried the ancestral knowledge. I don't know about giving it to Massa, though. But he introduced his enslaver, Purity clergyman, Cotton Mather, Lily Cotton Mather, to the principle and procedure of variolation, a method of inoculation which prevented smallpox and laid the foundation for the development of vaccines. So, y'all, Africans, Black people invented vaccines. So it is very much a sign of our cognitive dissonance, of the war of counterintelligence and white supremacy and pathology, whatever you want to call it, against our people, that we now are falling into white right-wing conspiracy theories about vaccines when our people invented vaccines and introduced them to these colonizers in the first place. So I do like to also square that circle for people.
Yeah, add that caveat.
Like it is a little weird that you're against vaccines when your people invented vaccines, but then we have some people who say we're not African, we're Native American. So that's why I have this Theory Thursday background here in the first place. We got to be historically clear about where we came from, And yes, I do understand, Brittany, that our people don't control them, though. So we don't control the big pharmaceutical companies that necessarily make this research. I get it. I get there's a difference between, African inoculation and all of that. But at the end of the day, we still develop the technology. It's a scientific principle. Vaccines against measles is a scientific principle, and it's very straightforward to actually understand. So at the end of the day, though, I agree. Onesimus should have let them crackers die. I don't know what he was doing. That was all you got to do is wait it out. Make the vaccine in your room, inoculate yourself, and just let them all die. You're going to be free. But, I don't know why he didn't do it.
Wild.
Wow. But that's all I have for today, y'all. I want to close out.
What you doing this weekend, Lorik?
Assata Shakur Study Group, membership induction, poetry potluck. It's a packed weekend down in Miami. Some of those things are public facing. The Assata Shakur reading group is, although if you haven't read, this is the last group. So please do not just join, having not read the book. And the poetry potluck is something that we do various neighborhoods, Black communities around the country. And we're doing it at historic Virginia Key Beach, which is the Black beach in Miami. So I'll pull up that flyer while y'all share what y'all got going on this weekend.
What you doing, Geechee?
Y'all funny. All right, I'm gonna pull up the flyer while y'all figure it out. It's the Poetry Potluck. It's the 81st anniversary celebration of historic Virginia Key Beach Park. So from 2 to 7 p.m., August 30th. Come through, have a great time. Do be on time. The police like to kick us out immediately when the time is up. So unfortunately, we don't get to chill on the beach for much longer than the designated time. But if you're interested, free food, lots of great conversation, art, vibes. Come through.
Since Geechee don't want to talk about what he doing, I'll be in the streets visiting two of my favorite niggas. This should be fun.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Geechee, what you got?
Nothing crazy. Going on some dates or whatever. Seeing who wants to fight for my love. I'm just kidding.
Geechee, what's up with you?
I ain't doing nothing. Just
All right.
working.
All right, then we plug in what we have on the platform. So Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win this week and last week. We had someone talking about queer and trans liberation, and then someone else talking about sex workers and organizers. So great episode. Shout out Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win. Shout out Cherie. We had Baba Sundiata. I believe he did Real Talk last night. Someone messaged me about that. So check out Baba Sundiata's work. Jared, Renee, and Lawrence did a specific piece on the DSA and socialism that's available on the Patreon. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Patreon. Check that out. It's been a packed week. Black Men's Podcast released yesterday about Iran. Go check that out with Bikram Gill. Get some information. You have Two Black with Bikram yesterday. And then Jackie has been really carrying on the morning show. We know Kim Brown has taken a leave, but she'll be back from what I understand soon. And so Jackie's got Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win tonight as well. So we got a lot of great content for folks to go through. So definitely check that out. Blackman Bill, we had Theory Thursday. Tanda Sizwe was on our mass call last night, talking about Free the Land, talking about his relationship to land back. So check out Tandy and Black August Study Sessions. Tandy's also on the last Sunday Black August Study Session. They're reading Stand Up, Struggle Forward by Sanyika Shakur and The War Before by Safia Bakari. So if you got time on Sunday, it's Pacific time. So it starts, I want to say at 7 for us, but it's 4 p.m. Pacific. So this Sunday is the last one. Yes, Senzi, the call is recorded and it's always available on Black Men Build's YouTube channel. So we will have it uploaded usually within a few days to a week after it airs. So
Everybody in the
definitely check
chat
that out.
said, I wonder if Amber's dates watch the show. They don't.
They would be getting violated. They don't watch the show.
I mean, I think one or two of them know that the show exists. Like, I don't think I don't talk about it. It's not like a secret or anything, but
Yeah. So KJ Sakuma's already started us off. But Amber, Geechee, Lorik, another Friday in the books. Thanks for tuning in to Black Liberation Media. As we say, as Jared says, as Chairman Fred Hampton once said, peace only if you're willing to fight for it. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.